Hey, what's up? Craig Severinson here, and I'm about to break down how you can use LinkedIn to drive conversations and build relationships that lead to sales. So if you're new here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive in. Okay, so the way that we're going to do this is I'm actually going to show you a video that I recorded not long ago for a private group that was doing like a 5-day LinkedIn challenge. And the content was so good that I didn't want to like re-record it because I think that it was just spot on in terms of how do you approach LinkedIn and how do you actually drive leads. So I'm going to show you this presentation, and I just want to give you a little bit of background where this is coming from because it was for something else, but the information is still super valuable. Let's dive into it right now. Today, we're going to be talking about how do you build relationships with the people that are now in your world, right? That's the whole key. We're going to build relationships with them, and that's going to lead, hopefully, to sales. It's not going to lead to sales with everybody, but for a lot of people, it will. Now, I also want to say this. All of this stuff in a bubble, doing it one time, is not going to get you the results that you want. You've got to get consistent with this. You know, again, it's like the content. Remember, yesterday we talked about doing one awesome webinar is cool, but it's not enough to really build your brand. You've got to be consistent in your message over time if you want long-term success. It's the same with this. If you want long-term success with your marketing on Facebook or LinkedIn, you got to get consistent with it. You got to own it. You got to bring it in as part of your marketing mix, and you got to hit it every single day. Okay, with that, let's minimize my face, make it smaller, and let's dive into day number 4, building relationships. Okay, here we go. So this is basically what we're doing. This is what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to slow down, and I want you to take the time to have strategic conversations with the people in your world, right? We're going to build relationships, and we're going to invite them to learn more. This is something most people don't do. They don't take the time. They don't slow down enough to talk to the right people. But remember, we talked about this earlier too, is that if you're priced correctly, you don't need 1,000 people to purchase your product. You probably need more like 10 to 30 people to purchase your product to have $100,000 to $250,000 increase in your business. That's pretty cool, right? So let's slow down. Let's take the time. If you're doing that connection portion correctly, you've got a whole bunch of new people in your world who are all, potential clients. Now let's take the time to go talk to them and see if it's a good fit for them to work with you, right? So we're going to have strategic conversations. And this is how we're going to do it, right? First of all, we have to interrupt them. This is the part that makes most people nervous, okay? Yes, we're putting content out there. And yes, some people are going to see that and say, hey, I'm interested. They're going to interrupt you. But the truth is everyone's busy. Even if you have really good content, sometimes they're not going to respond just because they're all up in their head about their own stuff. So we're going to interrupt them. We're going to reach out. We're going to tap them on the shoulder. We're going to say, hey, how are you? What are you doing? Tell me about your business. Tell me about yourself. Maybe I can help you, right? And we're going to engage and connect with them on a human level. And by the way, it is 100% possible for you to have a conversation about, your favorite hobby or something completely unrelated. And then at the same time, in the same conversation, loop it back to business and make an invitation for them to learn more. We're not interested in being salesy and pushy here. We're interested in developing a relationship while also, here's the key, being bold about the value that you bring to the table. Never forgetting that you are talking to a person who could possibly be a client, right? But at the same time, you want to be focused on building the relationship. This is a balancing act. It's possible to do both. It's possible to be focused on building a relationship, be a really relationship-focused person, and still make invitations for people to learn more about your service and invite them even to purchase your stuff. It's not an either-or situation, and you need to be focused on both. That's the secret here. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit more. I want you to make appropriate invitations, or invitations when appropriate might be a better way to say that, right? Remember, this is a mindset shift. The right offer to the right person is always a service. If you're hanging off a cliff and I walk by and I look down, I'm like, hey, I've got a rope. Do you want it? You're not going to say, hey, this is a bad time. You're interrupting me. How dare you come offer me something, but I didn't ask for it. I've got Amazon on my phone. I'm just going to order it myself. No, that's not going to happen, right? You're going to say, awesome. Yes, give me that rope right now. I need it. So the right offer to the right person is always a service, right? And they're never going to be upset that you offered it to them. Most people aren't upset about offers. There is like the 1% where they're upset just because you woke up and looked at them
and they're upset. But when people respond negatively to you, I got to tell you, it's more about them than it is about you. Have you ever been driving in traffic? This happens to me sometimes. And you get cut off and you just freak out. You're just like so upset. But then compare that to other times where, like, the same situation, you get cut off. So maybe it's this exact same person, but instead of getting upset, you just make a little bit extra space and you move on. What's the difference? You are different. It's your internal state. I know that when I'm getting upset because people are cutting me off in traffic, it's because something's wrong with me. I'm imbalanced somehow, right? And I need to get back in balance, or I need to look inward and say, why am I so upset all the time? It's the same thing with offers and with connecting with people. Some people are going to be upset just because they're upset. And that's not something you should take personally. You should just move on, right? You just say, awesome, thanks. I hope your day gets better. We'll talk soon. You know, we're focused on the relationship, not with the sale. So it's okay. If they don't want to talk, that's okay, right? So, but here's a question. The what do you do question. This is the perfect opportunity for you to invite them to learn more. So, you know, let's say that you're going after, I'm just going to put an example. I don't know who your niche is, but let's say you're going after lawyers, right? You're in a room full of lawyers and the lawyer says, what do? You can say, oh, I do, I'm public relations. Okay, awesome. And that's the end of the conversation. Or you could say, I help lawyers just like you get more media attention so that you land more clients and that you become the dominant lawyer in your market. Holy cow. Tell me more about that. How did you get into that? Well, it might be something for you. Let's explore it. You see, how you answer that question, it can just be a throwaway question. Oh, I'm a PR pro. I'm a social media pro. I'm a marketing pro. Oh, okay, I'm whatever, right? Or you could focus on the result and then offer for them to learn more. That is a perfect transition question, right? And it always comes up. Every networking event, every conversation, it always comes up. Tell me more. What do you do, right? So think about your answer to that question. Let's talk about being bold, versus being pushy. Being bold is owning what you do and knowing that it can help that person and inviting them to learn more. Being pushy is showing up and not knowing anything about the person and saying, you need to buy this, right? We call that marry me marketing. And it's that idea where you show up and on the first date, you get down on one knee and say, marry me. If you did that, the person you're on a date with is probably going to run away screaming. But yet you can ask that same question to the same person after months of dating them and get a completely different reaction, right? Now, in your marketing, you don't have to take months to court them, but you do need to court them in a way. You should not be asking for the sale. The purpose of your marketing, the purpose of these conversations is not to sell stuff. It's to generate leads. It's to generate phone calls. So you should be inviting them to learn more, not inviting them to make sales, right? This is what I do. Is that something you're interested in? Do you want to get on the phone and see if it's a good fit? Do you want to learn more about it? Do you want to explore it? Those are the types of questions you should be asking. And when they say yes, oh, that transitions from marketing to sales. Now we've got a hot lead, right? Because they're interested in what you offer. So avoid that marry me marketing. People get upset when you slide into their DM and then you try and sell them right off the bat without trying to get to know them, without even knowing if your thing's a good fit. That's when people get upset. So avoid marry me marketing, but be bold. Be bold. Okay, so here's your assignment. I want you to build relationships. Remember those 10 people you connected with? Now it's time to go back and talk to them. You don't have to worry about trying to sell them. You don't have to worry about trying to make invitation. Just go start the conversation. And if the opportunity comes up, which, by the way, if they ask you, what do you do? Tell me more about what exactly you do. That's an opportunity for you to make an invitation. So go talk to people, go start building those relationships and make invitations when appropriate.